Welcome to All Health Home Care's orientation presentation. Our company's mission is to provide high-quality patient care by using our professional experience to provide care for the client's medical needs. Our core values are professionalism, following company policies, loyalty, honesty, and integrity, commitment, and positive attitude. Our office is open from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Our address is 1523 Avenue M, Brooklyn, New York, 11230. Our phone number is 718-338-8500 and our fax number is 718-338-8838. Our email is hr@qualityny.com. To reach our 24-hour on-call service, call the office and then press 0. Communication. Your coordinator is your main form of communication with the company. Your coordinator is assigned based on your client. You should call your coordinator if you have any questions or concerns. If you do not know who your coordinator is, just call the office and the receptionist will connect you to your coordinator. Examples of when to call your coordinator. There is no plan of care in the patient's home. You are asked to do something not on the plan of care. The patient won't allow you inside, or you cannot find the patient's home. The patient is released from the hospital. You suspect the patient is being abused, neglected, equipment is broken, patient asks you to adjust for schedule. There is no food, supplies in the patient's home. If you, late for work, you or the patient have an accident, no matter how minor, the patient is being uncooperative or physical towards you, and if you're having trouble clocking in or out. The office occasionally sends out text message blasts with important information, so please do not opt out of the texts. Examples: open shifts, changes in office hours, in-service training, important documents to sign, general office updates. Please inform the office if you have updated any of the following information: name, address, phone number, marital status, tax withholding forms, emergency contacts, direct deposit information. Company policies. Punctuality on the job is extremely important. Call your staffing coordinator if you will be more than 15 minutes late. Constant late arrivals will result in removal from a case. Do not contact the beneficiary directly. All communication must be between the aide and the agency. Failure to inform the office of an absence will be recorded as a no-call, no-show. Being absent more than 3 times within a 3-month time will put you in jeopardy of being removed from a case. Signs of abuse and neglect to look out for. Bruises on a beneficiary that are hard to explain. Fear of one person. A request from a beneficiary not to be left alone with a person. Conflicting stories from family members. A feeling that things are not right. Lack of nourishment and care for the beneficiary. Lack of family concern for the safety of the beneficiary. Exchange of abusive words between family members. If you notice any sign of abuse or neglect, report that information to the Director of Coordination at 718-970-4179.
It is very important to keep your client's personal information private. Protect it as if it were your own information. The most common violations of HIPAA seem quite small and can be something as simple as talking about a client's medication with a next-door neighbor. In order for you to provide quality care, you will need to have personal health information about your client. Privacy and confidentiality are important so your client can know what they tell you will be kept private and limited to those who need the information for treatment, payment, and healthcare operations. Your client needs to trust you. It is illegal to disclose this information and not keep it confidential. Sharing personal information goes against the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA. Personal health information is any identifying information about an individual and includes medical, financial, and family issues. All information about clients is considered private or confidential, whether written on paper, saved on a computer, or spoken aloud. This includes their name, address, age, social security number, the reason they are sick, the treatments and medications they receive, past health information, and why the older adult is receiving services. There are certain people in the older adult's life who need to know personal information. Let's call these people the circle of care of your client. You can discuss the client within the circle of care for the purposes of providing or assisting with healthcare. You cannot share information with anyone outside the circle of care without written consent of your client. You can discuss confidential information with your supervisor or other colleagues who are directly involved with the care recipient, but no one else. Here are some tips for keeping things confidential. When it comes to spoken communication with other caregivers, don't whisper in corridors or elevators about your clients or talk on phones where others can overhear you. Be very careful with how you store hard copies of medical records, letters, forms, etc. Be careful with computerized medical records and email, and think about the recipients of your email. If your employer sends email that may include confidential information, make sure that you have a confidentiality notice. Remember, if you need to see client information to perform your job, you are allowed to do so. You may see information on whiteboards or sign-in sheets, or overhear private health information as you do your day-to-day work. You must keep this information confidential. Clients will want to speak to you about their condition because they trust you. As long as you keep it to yourself, you have nothing to worry about. What will happen to you if you break the law? Let's discuss the consequences. If you reveal any private or confidential information to someone who is not classified as needing to know, the consequences will vary. You have violated the client's confidentiality and you have broken the law. Agencies and their employees can receive up to a $250,000 fine and/or up to 10 years in prison for using information for personal gain or malicious harm. Even if you avoid these consequences, you may still lose your job since you are seen as a liability. You do not want to put yourself or your agency in this situation.
Complaint procedure. Call your coordinator or complete a report online or contact the head of client care at 718-338-8500 extension 4771. Employee benefits. Flex Benefit Card. What is it? A card you can use to buy medical pharmacy items, phone bills, public transportation, Metro card, glasses or contact lenses, dentist visits. How do I earn money on it? For every 1 hour worked, you can receive up to $3 on your Flex card. How do I get one? Up to 90 days after your first work date, our office will give you a call to come pick up your Flex card from the local office. How can I find out my balance? Download the Flex Facts app and text BAL to 97,487 to receive your current balance. Or call 732-640-5951. 401k plan to enroll. You must be employed with our company for 6 months. Once you are eligible to enroll, call the office and we will send you a 401k enrollment form along with an information booklet. Our company will match 5%. The first 3% will be matched dollar for dollar and the remaining 2% will be matched 0.50 cents on the dollar. Paid time off. For every 30 hours worked, you will accrue 1 hour of PTO. You can use your PTO by emailing Human Resources. Unused hours will roll over to the following year. Our cash out policy is you can cash out up to 28 hours before July and up to 28 hours after July 1st. Medical leave. You are eligible for family medical leave after 12 months of employment. Employees are eligible to take off up to 3 months of unpaid leave to care for a sick family member, oneself, newborn, adopted, foster child, or military-related issues. You are eligible for New York paid family leave after 26 weeks of employment. Employees are eligible to paid time off to care for a newborn, adopted, foster child. You can receive up to 67% of your paycheck for up to 12 weeks. Client visits. How will you receive cases? A text with the case's information will be sent out to all available aides. Respond to the text if you are interested in taking the case. How to get paid for a visit. The federal government passed a law that all clocking in and out must be done electronically. There are 2 ways that you can clock in and out electronically.
To download the mobile app, go to the Apple App Store or to the Google Play Store. Search for HHA Exchange, select the app, and then select the Install button. In order to use the mobile app, Caregivers must now select Allow to allow access to the device location, and also select Allow to allow access to the notes files, and then click on Sign Up to continue. To sign up, the first thing you do is enter your email. Then you create a password and confirm the password, and then click Done on the keypad. Then you click on the Sign Up button on the bottom of the screen. A message will appear confirming a successful sign-up, which means that the information was sent to HHA Exchange and your login has been created. Then you click on OK. You will then be asked to create a profile containing some basic information. This includes first and last name, last 4 digits of your Social Security number, as well as your gender, birth date, email, and phone number. And it's very important that all of this information is correct and it matches the information that's in your caregiver profile in the HHA Exchange system. Then you click on Create to create your profile. Once you have created your profile, your mobile ID number will display, and an email containing that same number will be sent to your email address. Here's a copy of the email that a caregiver receives. Notice the mobile ID number. The caregiver is then instructed to contact and provide their mobile ID number to all of their offices in order to complete their registration. When you are ready to actually log in, you log into the mobile app screen using the same email address and password that you established when you registered. If you attempt to log into the mobile app without contacting your agencies first, an error message will display. But if you have registered with your agency, clicking on Login will take you either to an agency selection page if you work with multiple agencies, or if you work with only one agency, to the mobile app homepage of that agency. From the agency homepage menu, you can access your scheduled visits, unscheduled visits, patients, messages, open shifts, and availability. Now let's go through the actual clock in and clock out process using the mobile app. At the beginning of the visit, the caregiver logs into the mobile app from a valid GPS address in the patient's profile. The caregiver then selects today's schedule. The scheduled visits for the day will display, and the caregiver selects the current visit. Then the mobile app will display the patient name, the visit duration, and the duties. There are buttons for clock in and clock out. The caregiver clocks in by selecting the Clock In button and then selects the GPS button as the verification method. A screen then displays indicating that the clock in was successful, and the caregiver selects OK. In order to clock out, the caregiver returns to the mobile app screen and selects Clock Out. The app then displays the plan of care duties that were to be performed. The caregiver checks off the duties performed, and if a duty was not performed, the caregiver leaves both circles blank. If a duty was refused, the caregiver selects the red circle next to that duty. And for some agencies, a drop box may appear for the caregiver to select a reason for the refusal. When finished, the caregiver selects the Save button at the top right corner of the screen. For some agencies, a patient signature screen may now display. In those cases, the patient signs using their finger, the caregiver saves the signature, and the image of their signature is recorded in the HHA Exchange system. The mobile app then displays a message that the clock out was successful. Once confirmed, the clock in and clock out confirmation times display on the schedule. If the times match the actual appointment times, they will appear in green. If the clock in and clock out times are different, they will appear in red.
On the rare occasions when you cannot clock in or out electronically, you may submit a timesheet instead.
It should not happen often, but sometimes you will need to fill out a timesheet. The first thing you must know is that you will need a separate timesheet for each week. The work week begins on Saturday and ends on Friday. So, let's say you are working with a new client from Wednesday to Monday. How many timesheets would you need to fill out? And what days would be on each timesheet? As you can see, your first timesheet would include your time and task from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You'll need a second timesheet for your time on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Timesheets must be completely filled out to be accepted. 1. Write the patient's name and your name on the timesheet. Fill in the week ending space. Always ends on a Friday. 2. Write the date. 3. Write the time in and time out. 4. Write in number of hours worked. 5. Check off the task you completed that day. Remember, you must check all tasks you completed for each day and follow the plan of care to make sure that the tasks are entered correctly. Also, remember there is no daily maximum for completed tasks, but you must have at least 5 tasks per day.
Viventium is the software we use to process payroll. You can use your Viventium account to view your pay stubs, verify your hours, view your W-2.
Welcome to our demonstration on registering for employee self-service. This tool can be used from anywhere at any time, either by downloading the free mobile application or by using the desktop version. You'll be able to access pay information, including pay stubs and year-end forms, as soon as you register. Let's get started. Once an invitation has been sent by your administrator, you'll receive an email with the subject line, Register for Viventium ESS. You'll need to click Get Started to begin the registration process. The first step is to enter your Social Security number and select Verify SSN. Now, enter in your birth date and select Verify Birth Date. In this next step, you will need to create your login credentials. Begin by typing in the email address that you wish to use as your username. Then select Next. After that, you will need to enter a secure password. You will want to make sure it includes the following: at least 8 characters, a mix of letters and numbers, and at least one special symbol. For example, an exclamation point, a $sign, or an asterisk. Be sure to save your password. Once you've set up your login credentials, you will receive a second email with the subject line, You're almost there. Activate your Viventium ESS account now. Select Activate, which will bring you to a login page. Enter the email address and password you created for your account, and select Activate your account. And you're done. Now that you've registered, you will be able to access the Employee Self-Service module, where you can download and print your pay statements, request time off, and access helpful tools such as the paycheck calculator. Each time that you need to log in after initial registration, navigate to viventium.com and select Employee Login. If you ever have trouble logging in the future, be sure to select Forgot Password on the login page. You'll be prompted to provide the email address you used to register with. An email will then be sent to you to reset your password. Lastly, if for any reason you have any further issues when logging in, reach out to your payroll administrator for assistance.
Payroll checks are issued every Friday for work performed through the previous Saturday, and may be received through one of the following payment methods. 1. Pickup. You can come to our office on Fridays to pick up your check. 2. Mail. We will mail out the payroll checks on Friday afternoon. We cannot control the date that you receive your check. If your check becomes lost in the mail, we will replace it, but you will be charged for the bank stop payment fee. 3. Direct deposit. Your paycheck is deposited directly into your account. 4. Daily pay. Get paid right after you complete your visit when receiving your first check. Please be sure that your name, address, and social security number are printed correctly. Call the office if there are any errors. Plan of care. 1. On your first visit with a new client, ensure that there is an updated plan of care in the home and that it is easily accessible. 2. If it is not in the client's home, contact the office immediately to get a copy. 3. The plan of care will show you which functions you should perform with the client. 4. Use the plan of care to complete a timesheet only when necessary. Prohibited functions: sterile dressings, enemas, colostomy irrigation, vaginal irrigation, application of heat, insertion, removal of inner cannula of a tracheostomy, injections, tube feedings, judgments, advice medical, nursing problems, personal care not included by nurse in care plan, administration of medication to include eye drops and any creams with prescription on it. Performance of eye care including administration of drops or ointments, transport a patient in aide's private car or in patient's car. The home health aide may not leave a case early without notifying our agency first, regardless of patient, family instruction to do so. To do this can result in punitive action. If done consistently, termination may occur. When with the patient, always wear a mask and your ID badge. Prohibited in the patient's home: personal cell phone use, smoking, destruction of property, accepting cash from patient, drug and alcohol use, and theft. Transporting clients. Home health aides are prohibited from transporting the beneficiary in their personal vehicles. If a home health aide does not adhere to this policy, they take sole responsibility for any damage, bodily harm, or death that may occur due to an aide who does not adhere to this policy and transports beneficiaries in their own vehicle. If your patient falls, do not attempt to lift them. Call 911. Report the incident to your coordinator even if the patient does not appear to be injured. Call 911 for the following events: severe bleeding, chest pain, loss of consciousness, shortness of breath, blood sugar problems, infection, circulatory problems, heart or lung problems, bleeding, abdominal problems, falls or injuries. Competency training.
All too often, older adults expose themselves, their homes, and their neighbors, especially if they live in an apartment complex, to fire hazard. They don't do it maliciously or intentionally. It's just carelessness. For example, the #1 cause of fires by older adults is related to smoking. Careless smoking. A person falling asleep with a lighted cigarette in their hand. It can result in a room like this being engulfed in flames and filled with thick, choking black smoke in a matter of minutes. But careless smoking is obviously not the only cause for fires in your home.
The most common cause of fire among seniors is people smoking in bed or while lying down. People think they'll be able to stay awake long enough to finish their cigarette, but they tend to nod off and the cigarette is still burning and catches either their bedding or a newspaper or other nearby combustible item on fire. Space heaters are a problem for older adults because they get cold more easily. They end up placing the space heater next to a combustible object, whether it's a newspaper, a blanket they might be using, or furniture. Older adults tend to actually overload their electrical outlets, or they use appliances that are plugged in through frayed cords, which is also a fire hazard. Candles left unattended are a problem because it is an open flame that can easily set a nearby object on fire, especially if you have pets or grandchildren that can knock over the candle. Older adults tend to wear looser fitting clothing while cooking or wear a towel over their shoulder, and the looser clothing or towel tends to hit the hot surface starting a fire. They also tend to have combustible objects such as cooking magazines or recipes near the hot surface, or Grease fires tend to start quickly and get out of control. Wood-burning stoves and fireplaces are a fire hazard because creosote tends to quickly build up and can cause an out-of-control fire next time you go to use it. And people also tend to leave their screens open, and sparks can easily fly out and start a fire.
Now, everything these experts just said can be prevented, but it depends on your paying attention to what you're doing. So let's take a look at how you can prevent fires in your home. Or, in the event something does happen and a fire does break out, we'll have some pointers to help you avoid injury.
Well, of course, our first recommendation would be that you try to quit smoking. If you are going to smoke at home, you want to make sure that you have ample ashtrays available, ashtrays that are strong and sturdy and deep. Maybe you can try keeping your smoking to the outside areas of the home. You want to be careful if you're taking medications that make you drowsy or drinking alcohol. What we want to be sure is that you never ever lay down while you're smoking. Well, we want to be careful with candles. They should be in obvious areas. You want to make sure that they're on a strong base and have a drip tray. You don't want to leave them unattended. If you're going to leave a room or you're leaving your home, you want to make sure that you extinguish those candles before you leave. Space heaters are often used to heat a small area of your home, maybe a bedroom. We have to be really careful because they generate a lot of heat. You don't want to have extra bedding or clothing. You have to be careful with newspapers. Don't want a lot of clutter around that space heater. You need to have about a 2-foot clear space all around that space heater for it to be able to operate safely. Well, when you're cooking, one of the first things you want to be aware of is what you're wearing. You don't want to wear clothing that has big draping sleeves. Aprons we have to be careful about. If you like keeping a towel over your shoulder, we have to keep these areas away from the tops of the stove because they can catch on fire. You also want to be careful of the pot handles. Make sure that those are turned inward and not hanging over the edge of the stove where they can get bumped. If you have a grease fire, the best way to try to extinguish that or bring it under control is to take the pot cover and place it on top of the burning pan. Don't try to carry the burning pan to the kitchen sink. You want to be very careful with items that you have nearby your stove. You don't want to have excess papers, mail, recipes, all those things that are combustible we want to keep away from the top of the stove. You never want to use your stove or oven to heat your home. The flames from on top of the stove or the electric element or the oven can easily spread to combustibles that might be in the kitchen, and you can have a fire. So when you go to bed at night, make sure that your stove and oven is turned off.
One precaution that seniors can take is don't overload electrical outlets. If you overload electrical outlets, then you can cause a fire. It can trip a circuit and it can cause sparks, and that can cause a fire. One precaution a senior can take is to have their chimneys inspected and cleaned annually to prevent the buildup of creosote that can in turn cause a fire in the home. Another way you can prevent a fire in the home is when you're using your fireplace, have the screen pulled and the doors closed so you can prevent sparks from coming out and starting a fire in your house. Smoke detectors are very important for senior citizens. Smoke detectors should be on every level of the home for the senior citizens so they can be alerted if there's a fire in the home. A senior citizen should change their batteries in their smoke detector twice a year. A good way to remember that is when you change your clock. Senior citizens should make sure that they have an escape route just in case of a fire in their home. They should have 2 ways in and out of their home, and once they are out of the building, they should stay out. The advantage of
In case of a fire, remember race, rescue, alarm, contain, and evacuate. To use a fire extinguisher, pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the lever, and sweep from side to side.
It can be overwhelming to be told you need oxygen. But you're not alone. Many people living with a
Thank you for completing the All Health Orientation. Welcome to the team.